Okay, we'll start now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think the chairman should have to sing the national anthem.
Well, then we'd have an empty house because I don't sing very well. Okay, we don't have a first appointment for another 4 minutes. Do you got something you want to get done before that?
I don't have anything. Chris is not in this week, so I'm here. You did talk about a memo that you wanted to send out?
Yes. Here's on my sheet. Was that the one about?
Charger and the parking?
Yes. Mass DOER has contacted me on our EV chargers that we have set up, and these happen to be at the school, but it could have been over here as well. The bottom line is they have cars parking in those parking spots that are not electric vehicles to be charged. And in the contract we signed with Mass DEP and Mass DOER, because there's two types of grants. It specifically says that only electric vehicles can be in those spots while they're being charged. So what I suggest we do is similar to the memo we did to all the committees to remind them about getting their meeting minutes in. We have Kathy and Chris draft a memo for us for the next meeting, informing the custodian of those buildings, whoever is in charge of that building, where those electric vehicle charges are, that they are responsible for making sure that only electric vehicles being charged are in those spots. If not, we could get fined by the state. I did talk to Al Wishart, and he cannot touch them because they have to be done with our bylaws.
Well, that's my question.
Yeah.
If it's, I mean, if, we're talking about the ones that are at the school, correct?
Well, it could be anywhere.
But the ones that are in question are the ones that are in the
Because
parking lot.
I think with all this East Meadow stuff, they've been having so many people park over there at night and stuff.
Well, here, that's my question. Is it staff or is it parents? Because the school would have no control over parents. It's posted, don't park here, but what kind of control are we looking, we can only go by what the signs say. I mean, I'm not opposed to doing a memo.
All we can do here is a memo. Because according to Chief Wishart, until a bylaw is passed, allowing him to ticket and tow those vehicles, there's nothing he can do in his department.
Right. No, I understand that, but I
Okay.
guess my question is, and like I said, I'm not against a memo, but if it's not staff that's doing it, there's no way for the custodians of the building.
Well, all I can say is maybe they make a piece of paper, put it on their windshield or something. I don't know what else to say. But if we get a fine, who's gonna pay it? That's all I'm trying to keep
Right.
myself from getting fined. You guys wanna say something, Chris?
Yes, you can always have the principal send a connect at home, letting parents know that they can't park in those spots, so that way it gets to the whole community.
Right, that, I guess that was more of,
It's fine. I was just thinking the custodian of this building, the custodian of the school, custodian of the safety complex, whoever it is. Al says, let those people know, and it's their responsibility to get the word out. And we are passing the information on. That's what Al told me today on the phone.
Yeah, but I mean, then after sometimes the custodian's not there when things are going on and stuff like that. It's hard for the custodian to police it outside and
Well,
their responsibility inside.
It's the same thing when we have with AJ's. They could drop a car on the weekend, and he has no control over it. We
Right.
have to understand that. But I think by taking the step of sending a memo out to all the building custodians, if the state came by again and saw them, we would show them, we've done the best we can to date, and we are scheduling a bylaw to be addressed, so our police department can
do something.
That's correct.
Well, I'd send it out to the superintendent of the schools.
Right.
She's responsible for the property
And then
there.
we'll look at the custodian of this building
Yeah.
and the custodian of the safety company. Luke?
Jay, just how many times are those spots actually used by
The ones at the school are used a lot,
by charging vehicles?
but, yeah, they pay us.
Or
We have a
would-
record.
Would it make sense maybe to put a cone in front of them? People that use them all the time would have to get out, move the cone and charge them, but it would at least discourage perhaps someone who
Well,
isn't allowed there to.
If they put a cone in front of them, they might think they're in up. And if the person is driving an electric vehicle and stuff like that, and they need a charge, and according to the state, they have us posted as having electric vehicle charges, and they got here, and the cones are, all- they think they're all out, where are they gonna go?
Yeah.
I don't know how far the next EV charger station is.
It's true.
We are slated to get 2 more for the new library, but that won't be done till July. But for right now, we have the 2 out here, we have the 4 at the school, and we have the 4 at the safety complex.
Well, I think if we send it to each, I like sending it to the department head.
Yeah,
So that the superintendent, I mean, here would be Chris would follow here, and the police department would obviously be the chief. Like you said about the school, they can always send Helen to Connect Ed, we get all the, notify the parents, and,
well, that's, I meant the custodian of
Yeah.
the building, who's ever in charge of the building.
but I like the idea that it's the
Department heads.
department heads, the superintendent's aware of it.
Well, it's the same
That's
thing I'm
the-
saying. The superintendent is in charge of all the buildings over there. Chris is in charge of
Right,
this.
but when you say custodian, I would personally think it would be John Sullivan, as
Right.
he's in charge of all the maintenance and
I
responsibility
wasn't
for all
looking
the
at
outdoor
the person
things.
who,
Well,
in the military, and we say when the custodian of the building is the one in charge of the
So the
building,
department heads.
department heads.
Okay.
here, it's the person who cleans it.
Oh, okay.
That's what a custodian is to
I
me.
mean, it's the one in charge of the building, is what I meant.
If you're gonna talk military terms, you gotta tell us.
I just do that, I mean, after 41 plus years, I get kind of used to it. You two have a problem with that?
So I'll
We just,
have,
we want to direct.
We don't have a problem, we just need to know when you're talking about it.
Okay.
do you want to have a draft memo ready for the 3rd?
Yeah, for the next meeting.
Yeah,
And that way we could all review it and make sure we are all happy with it before it goes out anywhere.
Okay.
And
We can
now
all-
it is 6:35, so it's Crystal time. Charter Day Committee.
Yes.
yeah, we took care of those 4 minutes.
So I have 2 agreements that I was hoping that you guys got a chance to look at, but I have copies here in case you didn't. So one is gonna be the booth space for all vendors, whether they are
I already
nonprofit
have
or
electronically.
profit.
Oh, thanks.
You got
So-
three documents, right?
The RFP,
The
the
RFP
booth vendor, and
The
then.
For-
vendor-
Well, the RFP, I think we were just holding off on that for
Oh, okay.
Chris, right?
Yeah.
So we were gonna do the food vendor, the booth vendor, for this charter day coming up.
Yep.
So basically, we kept everything the same. The only thing we changed on the back, or that we're asking that you guys change, is, 1, charging nonprofits, and 2, instead of charging vendors to come in Friday, then leave, then more vendors to come in Saturday and leave, and more vendors to come in Sunday and leave, we're asking that they have to pay for the weekend. Because it becomes a safety issue when we're constantly opening that gate, letting vendors come in when they can on Saturday. I mean, we have a set time that we want them set up by, which is 11 in the morning, but that doesn't happen, and we've got people walking all over the place, and it just becomes a safety issue. So we were trying to set it up so that vendors would have to be there for the whole weekend. Very similar to what Belchertown does. We kind of use them as an example for the weekend vendors, and we do have already a lot of people who are asking for the vendor agreement this year, but I told them we had to wait until we brought it to the select board and got it approved. So, the reason why we wanted to charge nonprofits, we have a large number of nonprofits that come in, and every other fair around charges nonprofits. So, if they're gonna take a space and they're gonna take away from profit that could come in, a small fee, so instead of $150 for the weekend, it would be $40 for the weekend.
Or instead of charging the nonprofit 150, you're gonna charge them 40.
Right. So they would still get a discount compared to everybody else.
I was gonna ask how many nonprofits from Granby actually go to Charter Day.
That we have the Church of Christ that goes, I would have to get you a list of them. We have quite a few. A couple of the high school classes usually get a tent there, and they sell. Belchertown Eagles, for the Granby Belchertown Co-op for football has already contacted me, and they want to come. There's another swim team that wants to come too from Belchertown as a
Well,
nonprofit
they
as
don't-
well.
They're not in town, so.
They're not in town, but they are nonprofits, so we
Right.
would still get a a
Okay,
fee
this is
from
what
them.
I'm thinking of. You do your 150 for the people in the commercial area.
Yep.
Change your nonprofit out of town to 50 and nonprofit in town to 0. I mean, this is their charter
Okay.
day. I mean, it's not gonna be an agreement by the other two as well. I'm just saying, this is what we're paying for these
Yeah.
people.
No, I like that, but does it, I mean, how does that impact you?
We would have to look at the numbers, but I really don't think it's that many, maybe
No.
5.
Okay.
Yeah. And if they
Yeah.
charge $10 more on the ones out of town, they should make it up.
So,
Yeah.
out of town, 50, and then in town, 0.
You two agree?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, because it is,
Yeah.
our taxes paying for it.
Yeah.
So you'll notice that on the nonprofit for youth group, it's $40, and for the nonprofit adult group, it's 50. So did you want me to do just all out of nonprofits, anything out of town as 50?
Yeah, anybody.
Even if it's a youth group?
That's right. Anything
Okay.
out of town, it's 50. Anything in town, it's free. And then if they're commercial, they pay your regular fee.
Okay. And then another change that we're making is typically we don't, or in the past, since I've been on charter days, we don't charge for electrical usage. I know the town has to eat a lot of that, so to minimize that, and they would get their money back from the charter day weekend, we have on here $25 per weekend if they need to use our electricity and they're not bringing their own generator. So that would also help the Dufresne Park Ad Hoc Committee as well, with some of their fees, because I know they eat a lot during charter day weekend.
And when we had dog shows, there was
A fee for it?
We charged a fee for electric.
Yeah.
So it's not something that we haven't done in the past.
Right, what do we, how much electricity do they use the town has been paying for?
That's a separate bill that the Dufresne Ad Hoc
It's the
Committee
highest
gets.
one of the year.
Because I know when Chris and I did the calculations on electric, when we put the prices on electric vehicle charges, for a 40 amp 220 service was $1 per hour. So I don't know how many hours these people are gonna be using electricity, but if they're not, we're not charging them a minimum of $1 per hour they're using it, we're gonna end up paying for it too, just to let you know. Because we did calculate that out before we put it on the EV charges.
Yeah, but I would think that that's gonna be over each vendor, so.
Right.
It's $25 per vendor for the weekend is what we estimated, but I can look,
I just wanna make sure
See
your
the
estimate's
hours.
not too low before you go
Well,
out.
we used
to
to charge the dog shows 60
60
60 for the
day-
event,
Per day.
per day.
per day. And so
Yeah.
you're talking 25 a weekend is pretty low.
But
Yeah,
that's
but
per
you're-
vendor.
That's per vendor, that was for the whole
Oh,
dog.
Right, that's
so
per
I
vendor.
because
think-
they shared the generator.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So if we have 10 vendors hooking into our electricity, then
I'm just saying that $1 an hour is what,
Yeah.
it costs us 96 cents per hour.
that's $1.
So that's why we're charging $1 in the EV charges. We're not looking to make money.
if we do it $1 per hour, and if they use it every hour that they're in session at charter day, it's $24.
So 25
So
would be
25 is
perfect.
fine. Not the calculation there. I just wanted to give you the numbers that
Yeah.
I know.
And this is above, because before we didn't charge.
Right,
So,
and I know, like I said, the ad hoc committee has to eat a lot of
Yeah.
that money.
Mhm.
So this way they can give us the bill, or we can give them the profit from the electrical that they pay for
Yeah.
the weekend.
Yeah, they're just paying for what they use, the user fee, that's all.
So if it's an in-town nonprofit, are they paying the electrical fee?
What does everybody think? They're paying taxes, you wanna let them slide, or you wanna charge them?
I wouldn't charge them, but.
Okay,
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I would keep it just like we are the nonprofits, that is,
In town.
they're in-town residents.
Right, because they're paying the taxes for it anyways.
Right, that's kind of like double charging.
Right, well, that's why I thought I'd bring it up, that's all. Because I'd like to see more people from Granby get out and participate like they used to in years ago.
Right.
so those were our main changes to the vendor application for this upcoming year.
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay. Do we want to do a motion and a vote on that?
Okay.
Oh, you wanna wait till Crystal brings the,
Wait till we get
Paperwork.
Do
a
everything
final
else.
draft of
yeah,
what
well, that's what I
it look
figured,
like,
I just
yeah.
thought I'd ask.
All right, and then the next one was the food vendor agreement.
Yep.
This one's gonna be different than the way we've been
I
doing
can
it
pass it
for,
down, so.
okay, for many
I have a copy.
years. So, as far as I know, and I don't know how many years they've been doing this, we put a RFP in the paper. We say we're looking for a food vendor to take over the fair and do everything for us. The problem with that was a lot of Granby people that run food carts or a lot of nonprofits were pushed out because the food vendors will not allow nonprofits to come and sell food at Charter Day. So we want, just like you guys want, we want the community to come back to the fair. And I know a lot of the churches want to do baked potato bar and stuff like that, like they used to do. So we are proposing that instead of having a food vendor who would normally give us over $3,000, that we instead bring in 10 food carts at $300 a piece for the weekend. They'd be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and set up. And they supply everything for themselves, including a generator that we no longer have to supply for them. So last year, Gino gave us a little over $3,000, but we had to pay $1,800 for the generator.
So this way, this year, we're not gonna pay for the generator.
Correct. Everyone is responsible for their own. And then they also can't tell us what nonprofits we can bring in and what food they can sell.
Okay.
The only nonprofits that I like to keep it zero on Granby residents, if we can do that,
Even food vendors.
even food vendors.
I'm not comfortable with that. They're making a ton of money on fair food.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Fair food makes a killing.
It's majority rules, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to make it more for the Granby residents, that's all.
I
Well,
know.
We are. We've taken off electricity, we've taken off the fee already.
Right.
I mean,
That's fine.
The Granby Music Program is looking to bring in one gentleman, Kimby. They run I think a Polish food cart, but he's looking to bring that in, but they would fall underneath the nonprofit, but they are a food vendor. So, I don't know if you guys want to set it a little bit lower for them since they are the Granby Music Association, or how you guys want me to do that. Because I know for sure that that's one nonprofit from the school that wants to come in and they want to have a food cart there.
I guess to me, there's a difference between a food cart and a food truck.
Right, I was gonna say the same
You know,
thing.
because a food
that-
trucks could be a trailer.
Okay.
You know,
He's
some of
gonna
those are-
have a food truck. He's gonna have a trailer that has the whole
setup.
setup.
So he's a food truck.
Yes. But his profit, he says, is going towards the Grammy Music Association. So that would be one that would fall under the nonprofit.
Mhm. How about those two decide? I already said mine.
Well,
Is
I-
that one of the 10, or is that separate from?
It possibly could be if they serve something that, so what the Charter Day Committee was gonna do is the 10 food carts that we are gonna invite, it's gonna be a variety of food, and we're going to send the invitation to those food carts that we want there.
Okay.
So that's how we were gonna work the food vendors. And then if we are low on some and we don't have enough, then we would reach out to other to other food trucks and see if they're interested
So
in
you
coming.
have your top 10,
Yeah.
and then we'll branch out from there, kind of
Yeah.
like a B list for a wedding.
So is that included in that?
No.
No.
That was just something that was brought to my attention a week ago by the band teacher. That they asked if it was possible that they do that, and I said, we're still working out the details on the food vendors, but I would let them know.
I mean, if we could get something in writing from the vendor saying that the profit was donated to Granby Music, I would be comfortable with giving him a lowered fee. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I have no problem as long as we favor the Granby residents.
Well, it would still favor the Granby residents.
Yeah,
But
'cause
we
it's-
still have to.
You're still charging them something.
I don't have a concern with it if you have the 10 already that are coming in, but if that person's part of the 10, now you're just taking off that $3,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that this was in addition to the 10.
That's our plan, as long as we can get the food trucks that want, like where
Okay.
Nats has already talked, emailed me a bunch of the vendors that came last year. Gino has even emailed me and asked if he could be one of the food trucks that,
So theoretically, this one would be number 11.
yeah.
Okay. So we'd still have
And we
our
would ask
3,000.
them to sell something that all the other food vendors was not
Was
selling.
not selling.
So that way we didn't have overlap.
Okay.
So that's one thing we're trying to
So
minimize.
they don't have
You
a
have
set
your-
menu? Their truck doesn't have?
He says he can make anything. So, that's what I was told.
Well, some of these food trucks will come in, they'll make like hamburgers, cheeseburgers, french fries, hot dogs.
Sausages, kebabs, the whole shebang.
Can't
Yeah,
wait for the
Right.
porch talk.
Can we
so,
table that?
Yeah, I wanna think about that some more.
I'd like to see something in writing
Yeah.
Well, I
from
just,
him to the Granby Music.
I think you should table that one to, that you've got the 10.
The 10.
Got the
Yeah.
And then.
then look at it, cause if
and then
not,
What else, and who else is coming, just because the other, he may have a truck, but what if all the other nonprofits?
well, that's
in
it too,
town,
is that,
You're setting a precedent
Yeah.
that he doesn't have to pay because he has a truck.
right.
And I don't know if that's fair to all the other,
Now, do they pay for for the Board of Health?
I
Two?
think they have to, right?
Yeah.
they have to have
Everybody
inspection,
has to.
yeah.
Okay.
Cause I don't know if he's really,
Technically,
is he
you're supposed to
donating the money
hear
or is
comments,
he
yeah.
raising money for
Well,
them?
it sounds like he's
Yeah.
donating his profits.
Yeah, so he still has to,
He
he's still
has
gonna
to
pay
cover-
for
He's
his
gonna pay
material
his
Yeah.
from.
material.
It's over
Right.
him.
So he's really just breaking even.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
as far as
so-
the food vendor goes, though, the $300, maximum of 10 trucks, and they're there for the weekend, you guys are okay with that?
Yeah, see, like I said, if you end up with your 10 trucks, now you have that particular person that wants to do it, and someone else, now you can't say no to somebody else.
And we're trying not to overload the fair with too many food trucks, because then the food trucks that do come aren't gonna make enough profit, and then they're not gonna wanna come back next year.
Right.
But that's the point I'm making, so if that particular person becomes one of the 10, and they pay the fee, then there's no ands if buts about it, but as soon as you have your 10, and that person comes in, and you waive the fee, what's stopping anybody, well, when you say, well, no, you can't come in, well,
Right.
why not, you're letting this person in?
Yeah,
Say, if you want to donate all your profits to the town of Granby, you're welcome to come in. Otherwise, nope.
I don't like that part. That gets kind of a little gray, and I like it just that you come in, you pay your fee, and if he decides to donate it back or make a donation to the music
Granby
fund,
Music.
then that's fine. Because like I said, if you have your 10 and you start letting then Jay or I want to have a hot dog cart. Well, why can't I bring in a hot dog cart? You just let them do it. I'm not paying. What do you stop?
As you say, well,
Then
the
you-
town only approved 10 vendors, commercial vendors.
Because then now your commercial vendor who came in, who paid, you're taking money away from that person.
I understand that.
And then that's like, well, they're there to make money.
Right, that's what they're there for.
So-
And that's why she's limiting it to 10 with a variety,
Yeah.
so there's no overlap as possible.
I think if you have a good solid 10 and go with that, and that's, we can table it as, we said, but my thought is that you treat everybody equally, because
Oh, I
at that
agree.
point, at that level, because if he has a big size truck, we're not talking about a little cart, we're talking about a full service type thing, that's a little different,
Okay.
And I think he can donate that back. Because again, Granby Charter Days needs to show a profit as well.
Right.
Right.
They have bills to pay as well.
How much profit did you get last year?
We were negative $2,000.
That's what I thought.
See?
Do you know where the shortfall came overall?
The rainy day. I
Sunday
think.
was a washout.
Just the washout
It was,
from the
it
weather.
poured. We paid $350 for a live band, and there was 2 people standing under the tent to listen to the live band. It was a downpour.
It was.
You
Front
can't
row.
control the
Yeah.
weather.
So, I mean, Friday and Saturday night were really good, but Sunday was a
Killed it.
washout.
Okay.
Yep. Seems to be always one day that becomes a washout that weekend. So,
Knock on wood, we have perfect weather.
yes. So as the food vendor stands now, are you guys okay with it? So I can send it out to the food vendors that are one of our 10.
I'm okay with the food vendors
I'm okay with that.
doing it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think there was one more on the nonprofits, Kathy, and I didn't bring that paper. I don't know if you have it. But it was a letter that went out to the nonprofits of possible food that they could sell during the
No, I
fair.
think I have
That was
one.
just us brainstorming on different things they could bring in, like baked potato bar, hamburgers, hot dogs. So something easy for the nonprofits to do, and we were gonna send it out to the nonprofits in Granby and see who wanted to come to the fair and do that portion of the food.
Yeah.
So,
So just keep in mind, when you do that, and there's someone who's paying to be there, and they're selling the same product, and that, those other people are cutting into their revenue, that could be,
yeah, I think
that's what they're gonna look
Gino-
at.
I think Gino was the only one did hamburgers and hot dogs on the truck pull side, and then he had one on the,
Yeah.
on the left side of the, but I mean, it was mostly his carts there, cause he was
Yeah.
the food vendor
Well,
in
yeah.
charge last year. So this year, he wants to know if he can bring in a couple, we're gonna let him bring in one. And then he has to give us a list of his foods, so we can make sure nobody else is doing those foods.
Right.
So yes, we will be mindful of that, and make sure that,
Did the
They're
police do a pancake breakfast?
yeah, they did.
And they're not charged, right?
I think we charge for parking. We charge for parking for people to come in.
I can understand,
Yeah.
I'm not saying charging for their booth on their time. And
No, we didn't charge, that
Okay.
went through, the ad hoc committee.
$70
Yeah.
just for the
Yeah.
gas, everything.
And the kitchen to be clean.
Yeah, the beer,
Yeah.
yeah, minimum.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that went through the ad hoc committee,
Okay.
yeah. Which this year, we have graduation on Saturday, so we're moving the fishing derby, if we can still have that, pending the health of the pond, to, Sunday, along with the run and the tractor pull. That's what our plan was.
So it's graduation is Saturday morning, will you
Yeah.
be doing a pancake breakfast then? So we're
Sunday.
gonna do everything on Sunday.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's what we used to do.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna work out easier. A lot of families are gonna be at the graduation. It starts at 10, usually ends around 12 or before that, depending on how short the speeches are. And then, you know, Charter Day obviously will start, but we were just thinking of moving everything to Sunday so it's less hassle.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
All right.
we're all set.
All right.
Yeah, so I'll get the final copy to you guys for your next meeting, and then this one is all set to go out to food vendors, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on our official agenda.
Parks oversight.
Parks Oversight, Mr. Lou Berry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Basically, what we're gonna talk about tonight is the fact that we finally, seriously looking into getting Dufresne's logged perhaps. Step one is hiring a forester, 'cause you really shouldn't go in there and just arbitrarily start cutting stuff without having a plan and everything. So, fortunately, the state has a program whereby they will pay the forester to come in and develop a plan, basically. So there's no cost to the town. At that point, we either say, yeah, that sounds good, or we like this, we don't like that, whatever. It's, we're not under any obligation to do anything.
So this is just a study or a plan?
It's a plan, that's all. And it's, it's fairly involved. He comes in and he walks the property and tries to, their goal is to get kind of a mix of old growth, new growth, cleared land, just to
Yeah.
keep the cycle going so that it's not all like we have now wiped out with gypsy moths and hemlock disease and all that. So we have a forester who's been very, very helpful. He came to our meeting. Nice guy. He's very experienced. He's from Hadley. We went to conservation last week and he talked to them and they're all in favor of it. So I basically wanted to let you know what's going on, make sure you didn't have any issues with it. And when the
No.
plan is done, hopefully, we'll bring that in to show it to you and see what you think. So,
Yeah, then we'll just see where we're gonna go next, depending on funding and what else is.
Well, theoretically, it would fund itself if we can, depending on the timber that's up there and everything.
So you're looking to take the material out and sell the tree?
Again, it depends on what's up there
Yeah.
and what the value is.
Doesn't actually companies bid?
Yeah,
on one
companies
and
will
take it
bid
out?
on coming in
So we
and,
get the money from whatever they
Right.
did.
Right.
the
But
project.
depending
What about
what's
all
up there
these
for,
oak trees?
depending on what's up there. We may go up there, they may say,
yeah,
there's no value, we don't, it's not worth doing, but hasn't been done in like 30 years, so there's probably some value up there.
Well, it brings up a point, we got about 500 plus trees that are coming down now that are over utility wires. And to my knowledge, they're being stacked at the highway department, and anybody who wants it can come and take it for free. If we can make money on it, it'll recoup the costs that we're having our people out there.
I think
I
it
don't think
depends
it
on.
says the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're taking down, probably mostly oaks. 'cause
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's probably
What's our
firewood
difference?
value there, and that's about it.
yeah.
Okay.
But the labor involved in cutting and splitting up for firewood it's kind of a break-even thing.
Okay.
So I don't
I don't
know,
know.
I mean, that's a different issue entirely, but what we'd be looking at more is,
You're milling it,
yeah,
yeah.
lumber from milling.
Yep.
And they'll come in, again, depending on who gets the bid, with the big chipper and bring it up there, and they chip all the brush and, right there, so you don't leave any slag behind.
So would they be interested in oak trees that, because I say, we don't have all the funds right now to take all the 500 down, but
That's something we'd have to wait and see what, but I'll talk to the forester though about
Yeah.
that and see what he thinks, but, talking to,
Dave?
no, Tommy Benson,
Okay,
I don't think there's any timber value in dead oaks like that.
Okay,
They
I
just
don't know.
rot too fast. and-
Yeah.
okay.
Other than that, we're moving along, committee's getting there slow but sure. We're, looking forward to doing some projects with the funds that came in last town meeting. We've had some issues at the park this year with, we actually had, as you probably know, keep both gates closed because, with the weather, the way it's been fluctuating in temperatures, the ground hasn't really frozen solid. So you get a nice day and somebody goes in and they're getting stuck
Big
in the
ruts.
mud and there's ruts and they're tearing up the road. So we've just closed them now, both sides, until either the ground freezes or it dries out, either one.
Yeah, we did have a discussion. We know if we're going to do something with Taylor Street, where is the money going to come from if we're going to do anything with Taylor Street entrance? Because I think Chris said it's a sinkhole for the most part. So it'd have to be a lot taken out
Yeah.
before we could put any asphalt down to get in and out.
Yeah, I'd actually, rather than throw money there, I'd rather see another entrance put in off of Kendall that stays on the pond side and then leads Taylor.
Goes up the dog
Yeah.
park from Kendall Street?
Correct. Like the one we used for Charter Day where we open up there.
Yeah, that would make more sense, I think.
And that was in the
Yeah.
plans, the problem is it's wetland, so no one ever wanted
Yeah.
to tackle it, but, I think that's probably makes a lot more sense to put the money there than into Taylor
think
Street
so.
where, entrance and exit is tough anyways.
Yeah, it's a blind spot.
It's a blind spot there, yeah, and, I think it would be.
There's been
more-
issues for many years, that whole
Yeah.
stretch of,
The whole, right,
Yeah.
right, and every summer, every winter
Yep.
and fall, it gets to be a mess, and then it gets muddy, and
Yep.
so.
Do you want to contact our conservation committee and have them take a look at that site, Kendall Street?
It's been brought up to them, and they don't seem real enthused. I think the problem is we have to delineate the wetlands. The group, GZA, that's been involved in the donations and everything, I think will come down and free of charge mark out the wetlands. I don't speak for them, but there's been some indication they might help us out, so. That's I think the first step is to see exactly what we're dealing with.
Right, because if that is a
Yeah.
better solution than working with Taylor Street, we should have some type of idea.
just gotta relocate the wetlands somewhere.
Right.
My only hesitation is once the wetlands are delineated, we could be putting ourselves in a bind
know.
relative to using that at all for Charter Day.
Yeah, I know, it's a chance
So-
to take.
Yeah.
But if it's so much more achievable than it is working on the sinkhole over in Taylor Street entrance.
To me, it makes more sense, I think, but that's, That's me. Other than that, Kathy, can you think of anything else that what we talked about, they're taking all the poles down, or they're taking, I guess
They
they're all
took the
down.
wires down, but not the poles.
The
No,
poles
they-
are down now. I
No, the
think.
poles are down now.
Yeah.
Oh, they weren't, oh, the last
And
I read, they were.
We've kept them, so talking to Jeremy, he came up with a good idea actually about using them to make a guardrail
Yep.
when you come in Kendall to block off the field.
Right.
And maybe,
Yeah.
you know, telephone pole, boulder telephone pole, so there's some walking space there in between.
Kind
And
of.
then gating it off the road, so that in the wintertime, we can keep cars off the field and keep them from tearing it up. And they did quite a bit of damage to the mower this year because it's all ruts, because the trucks drive around and do donuts and,
I like that idea, yeah, I mean,
So,
making a
I'm
purpose
sorry,
for it.
Lou, are
Yeah.
you talking like raised barrier like they had
Yeah.
at Brown Ellison?
yes, like a guardrail, basically,
Okay,
made
how
out
would
of.
that affect Charter Day parking?
We're gonna have a gate, so in other words, they can open the gate, and then there'll be a second gate further in, so they can actually
Okay,
route traffic better than they do now, because now it's a
you
free-for-all.
come in one, go out the other,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
And he had wanted to use one of the telephone poles for Brown Ellison, because something needs to, one of the guardrails has rotted out, and then he thought maybe if there was some left to put barriers up
On
over at
West Street School.
We were having a
Right.
problem also.
Mhm.
So the poles won't just sit there, they're gonna.
No, they're gonna be
Yeah.
used, yeah,
How many poles were there total?
I think there was 8.
oh, at least,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say at least. So we, you know, we may have to go out and make a purchase of some sort to help. I don't know if that's gonna be enough or not.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it would be enough.
But it might be a good start.
Could source some
Start.
more.
Well, we have so many car accidents in Granby taking down telephone poles, maybe we'll just take those poles and tell
Well-
National Grid to leave them here.
When George owned the phone company, they, that would happen.
Yeah.
But now, I don't know what they do with them anymore.
Al, you wanted to say something?
I'm just gonna offer that National Grid is in the process of just finishing up, switching out every pole in town. They probably still have some standing in the ground that are gonna get pulled out.
The problem is they're considered hazardous waste, so they're very,
Yeah, because I think they were pressure treated with the arsenic, and
No one's gonna eat them.
they're not, the new pressure treated don't have the arsenic, you know, and that's the problem, right?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, the new
Sounds
pressure
good.
treated doesn't have arsenic in it. The old pressure treated has
You
arsenic.
never know, you can always ask National Grid maybe to donate something, and you never know. They may say,
Yeah.
that's fine, yeah. What do you need?
Yeah, absolutely.
Use your contact.
Yep.
So,
That's
Do
definitely.
you have any idea how many you need, roughly?
Jeremy might,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would ask.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
mhm.
So, Jeremy's doing a great job down there, as you well
Yeah.
know. He's really, really doing a good job.
Good.
And on that line, Charter Day, Crystal really is, I think, being very responsive to the town. They've made some changes that are really, I think, beneficial, things that I've seen over the years that I know people a little unhappy with that were going on down there as far as who could do what and everything. They've changed that. It's really,
Yeah, she bossed me around for 2 days last year. I was there for 2 days.
And on the subject, good job. Your PD did an excellent job on this incident over the weekend. I mean,
What was that? Oh, the incident, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
they stated that on the news.
Yeah, they
Oh,
really,
Young State Police and Granby.
Yep, really wrapping that up that fast is commendable.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, well,
Well, thank you, Will.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Wishart, Chief Wishart.
Don't believe a word of that.
He just spoke so highly of you two.
Hello.
Hello.
So I don't know how much you know or don't know. We're in a situation where we have a couple of full-time people out. They are going to be out at least a few weeks each. My guess is probably longer than that. So as you can imagine, that's literally about somewhere between 15 and 20% of our workforce, which makes filling things very difficult, and there's a cost to that. A weekend like we just had, significant cost to that. So what I'm looking to do is to kind of get in front of that, and I talked to Chris Martin about it It was prior to this weekend, obviously, but I'd like to, and I think it makes a lot of sense to hire another part-time officer, one part-time officer. We also, one of the things I didn't mention was those two people happen to work the same exact shift, with the exception of one day. So that makes it that much more difficult.
So we're like dead in the water on that
Well,
shift.
our people are picking up the slack and they're getting it done.
No, I know
you
that, but we don't wanna burn them out.
No, and so, to add to that, we also have an officer who's gonna be going to the academy starting in February for 6 months. So, yeah, that's the
You have any
mix.
good news?
The good news is our people are taking care of business and getting it done.
Yes, they
So
are.
you're looking for a permanent part-time?
Yes, I am.
I'm not really in favor of that. I've been looking at the budget. As you probably know, our revenue only went up 1.5% last year. That's why everybody got a tax increase. Because I think the board made the right decision, raising the 41 cents to businesses and residents. If we just did businesses to make up the money, it would have been at $10 per thousand. So we're doing 41 cents this year. And if we don't get more revenue, the taxes are going up. And I talked with the Board of Assessors, and if we have to raise our taxes 2.5% each year, in 8.5 years, we don't have to worry about raising taxes no more, because they're maxed. You gotta figure what services you're gonna cut, because we're that close to Proposition 2.5. The max you can have is $25 per thousand, we're at $19.77 per thousand. So if you do your 2.5% times the $19.77 each time, 8.5 years, you've maxed it out. So, and we haven't even seen the school budget for this year. So we have no idea what they're coming in for a budget.
No, but, I mean, in all fairness too, next year can be different with, new homes and stuff being built too. It was a slow year for new homes in Granby, so that was tough.
Al, well, if you do a part-time, they don't have to go to the full-time thing yet, do they?
To answer your question, no, they don't. To address your concern, or what you had to say, I understand what you're saying, trying to be responsible. From the police department's perspective, in terms of financial responsibility, this is the only financially responsible move, because it is going to save us money and allow us to provide the same service.
Well, the way I'm looking at it, you have 11 employees, count yourself, right?
No, I have more than that. I have 14 employees, not including
I thought you, when we discussed it, we
I'm
did.
talking about part-timer. I'm sorry, I'm talking about dispatchers as well. You
Okay.
asked me about police officers.
Okay. Because, I mean, when you do the numbers, your budget is over $1 million in just salary.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And when we talk to how much more people are going up with their degrees, that's only gonna get higher.
That's possible, yes.
So, I mean, either way, you have to pay overtime to staff.
That was
Right,
my
so,
question.
just for perspective, if we have one part-timer cover one shift, it's, $180. It's double that to have a
Right.
full-timer do that. You do that over the course of the next 20 weeks, which is the remainder of this fiscal year, you're talking about thousands of dollars in difference. And that includes any of the new costs for a new police officer. So, to your point of trying to be financially responsible, this is the only financially responsible move to make. And to wait and not act is gonna cost a lot of money and put a lot of stress on the officers who are already working a lot. That's just the reality of the situation.
Chief, I'm sorry, I should know this. How many officers do we have per shift?
Generally speaking, we run with two. Now, that can be different during the day. We have a school resource officer, we have court officers,
Right.
and we do have some shifts where there's some overlap and things like that. So generally speaking, we have two people, two officers responding to calls and one dispatcher. And we currently have, I believe, 3 shifts where there's one extra person on the evening shift. That's going to go away when the officer goes to the
When the
academy.
officer goes to the academy, okay. So you're looking for a part-time officer?
I'm looking for one part-time officer to help get us through the kind of the manpower drought we're having because of what's going on and what I suspect will continue for a while.
Okay.
And I do believe that if I was coming in here asking for 5 more part-timers, well, I wouldn't be able to justify that. The budget would not be able to justify that because the costs The costs to do that would be more than keeping the full-timer.
The
Well, this
town
is-
couldn't afford it.
Well, I agree with you there. But to hire one part-time officer for the rest of the fiscal year and then going forward is a responsible thing to do, and we'll save that much in overtime.
When is you think your next officer is gonna retire?
The next officer that retires is probably gonna be me,
Is it?
yeah.
No, not allowed.
No, I was just thinking that part-timer could take over the place and then we could reduce that. If we put another part-timer in now and make him a full-time.
Unfortunately, Jay, hopefully our population will be growing, which means we would need to increase our safety services, not decrease.
I guess what we're looking at though right now is it's a need for the department.
Correct.
And just looking at two things. With the overtime that they're gonna pay out, there's gonna be more than we're gonna pay for a part-time person. Then you also gotta look at the staffing and the morale of staffing, because if someone's not taking that spot, you're freezing someone to cover that shift. And then that starts affecting the morale of the police department, where, they feel like, someone has plans to go home, but now you can't find anything to cover it, and that person gets frozen there.
Well, I'm kind of stuck in the middle because I've been looking at the financial thing, trying to be proactive. And I've been contacting other towns either right at us with population-wise. And we have more police than they do.
I would love to see what towns you're talking about.
Harvard,
Harvard?
yeah.
I don't know anything about the Harvard Police Department.
They have 9 police employees and 2 of them are clerical assistants, what do you call them? That's all they have. And they have a higher population than us.
Do they run their own full-time dispatch?
That I didn't ask. And that's something that we may have to consider in the future with Chicopee, on that new dispatch, regional dispatch.
Yeah, that's a whole nother animal, and I would submit that financially, that doesn't make sense either. We've done the math on
Well, you're
that.
the second highest department that the town pays.
We are.
And we're getting to the point there is gonna be no more money. So there's gonna have to be cuts somewhere. Go ahead, Luke.
Just a couple observations. One, you're not asking for a budget increase.
No,
You're just
no.
asking for permission to hire a part-timer. Number of part-time officers is basically irrelevant as to budget. It's the number of shifts that are dedicated to a part-time officer that increases the budget. So what he's asking for is not to add anybody on the street, add any positions. He's asking, add any shifts. He's asking for add a person to help cover vacant shifts that are otherwise gonna have to be
Yeah,
covered
but
by overtime.
I was under the impression that these full-time officers that we have, I don't know if it's sick, I don't know if it's training, or we'll be paying them anyways.
We are.
Still, but you have to also cover the shift.
Well, you still have to cover the shift, and when you cover a shift, you're covering a shift with someone at time and a half. You're paying someone more money to cover the same shift.
I understand that part, but I don't know if we have too many on a shift now.
I
You
would not
can't run with
consider
less than 2
two on a
officers up.
shift.
Mhm.
I wouldn't consider that too many.
That's extremely dangerous and counterproductive.
I mean, we are a safe town for the most part, but I would still expect to have at minimum 2 people on the road per shift. That's just me.
Well, to say majority rules, I'm just saying that, looking at the numbers, they don't look good at all.
But it's not increasing the budget. It's not, it's that person's taking a place of not paying overtime. Basically what it is.
And I just want to be very clear, so there is no miscommunication. When we hire a part-time officer, we will be putting that officer on another shift. So there is another shift. However, I'm going to put that officer in a place where I know it's going to have positive budget impact and positive schedule impact. And to Chief Barry's point, the huge benefit to a part-timer is not necessarily that one shift that they're scheduled that week. It's the 3 others they take at halftime of what it costs
Yeah.
overtime for somebody else.
I realize
That's
that.
where your savings are.
Yeah.
So, the town pays me to try to provide a professional service at the most reasonable cost we can.
Right.
To your point of, and I don't know anything about the Harvard Police Department, I can show you comparisons that I've done where our police department and our dispatch center is doing things far significantly less amounts of money that other departments are doing it for. Whether it be overtime or straight time or expenses, there is, and this is not a comment on any other department in this town,
No.
there isn't another department that's gonna be more responsible than us.
I agree.
Jay,
I
we
agree.
actually cut coupons.
I agree, because, I mean, I can
We
look
do.
at your budget, and your
So-
biggest thing is
What do you
salary,
buy with
and
those
hardly anything
coupons?
else.
And it's, I'm not saying that to be facetious. We actually do that. So, and you know, I would love to see somebody come in and say, oh, you can do without this, this, or this, because it doesn't exist. And the last thing that I'll say is, and somebody already mentioned it, kind of beat me to the punch, this is a need. It's not a want. There's a difference there.
Jay, the regional dispatch came up when I was on the job. And after looking at it, and I think Al looked at it again, it would actually be counterproductive for us. The reason being, we would have to staff our station. Right now, the only person in there many times is the dispatcher. If we took that dispatcher out, there would be no one in the station. So we would have to hire someone to stay in the station just to, for security purposes, because our teletype has to be manned 24/7, and so it was really not to our benefit. Plus, how much money do we get a year from the 911 because we dispatch? It's a sizable chunk of money that we would lose.
Not to mention you're losing, once you lose that service,
You can't get it back.
you're not gonna get it back, and the service that you get is not gonna be the same.
When someone dials 911 for Granby Police or Fire, they think they are talking to a Granby dispatcher. You go to a regional, they're talking to somebody you have no control over whatsoever.
I
Yet in
understand.
their mind, they're talking to Granby.
Right,
So
I
it's,
understand.
it's really not you'll see many towns that were interested originally pulled out because it didn't make sense to them financially.
I'm just seeing what Chicopee and Long Meadow right now, they're so far apart, but they're operating fine.
But they're both large enough that they have station officers anyways. So they're not increasing their staffing by taking out their dispatchers and manning the station. They already man their station because they're such a big department. Amherst does the same thing. Well, we don't. We're not that big. So we have to, someone has to be in that station. So if we take the dispatcher out, that means we put an officer in, which means we gotta hire someone to fill that spot and keep two guys on the road. So it would actually cost us quite a bit of money.
And that's the difference that every department that backed out found, was that, wait a minute, we're gonna have to pay someone to be there, that other departments even looked at what was called greeters, paying civilian people just to sit there and say, okay, officer, come back to the station, and even with those, almost every department, correct me if I'm wrong, around us initially signed on to the regional. We did not. And they slowly backed out because of the same reasons that we had already looked into and figured out.
Yeah.
We actually had a visit from the state back again when I was working, from the director of 911 and the second in charge. And they came in, they said, the lieutenant governor wants to know why Granby's the only town that hasn't signed on to the agreement. So I went through the whole thing with them, and I said, can you give me one reason why it's to our advantage to sign on? And they both said no. Well, I guess that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, well, see, I'm not privy to
Right.
some of that information. I'm
Understood.
looking at it from the standpoint of figuring the dollar size out, is what I'm looking for.
But if you're figuring the dollar size, okay, and I get what you're doing in that case, but we're not raising the budget.
Actually, he's trying to make sure
That the
his
budget doesn't
stays.
Go up.
Right, so you're paying straight time versus overtime, just like we were
Right.
talking with fire.
Part-time straight time versus full-time overtime.
Right.
Big difference.
Big time.
Well, we know that from the fire department. We know that from the fire department, and they're not like the police department.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I'm okay with it.
You know, I think it makes sense, it makes
Safety
fiscal sense, part of it. I think it's being cost efficient and looking at it, and it just makes sense. And as the chief said, that's his responsibility. He looks at it, and I'm sure he's looked at everything before he came to the table, and just hearing some of the points, it's again, it's, like I said, it's not a want, it's a need.
Well-
You need to have that, and being cost efficient as well. Again, you're paying someone at a part-time, straight time versus a full-time overtime rate. And that's a big difference.
I completely understand, and I completely agree, but a lot of the stuff that was just stated here was not knowledgeable before it was stated, so that could not be put into equation, so I was looking at it strictly from a financial part on what we're gonna do.
Does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to allow the chief to hire a part-time officer.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Any more discussion on the part-time officer? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Kathy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, chief.
And is there any, I guess right away, right? So,
Yeah. You need somebody, need somebody.
excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
Mr. Nally, if you so desire.
Hello, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I apologize for not being able to rearrange my schedule. I know your agenda's been rearranged, but nothing's going crazy.
Yeah, we do the best we can.
I know. I'm here this evening to get authorization from the Board of Selectmen to borrow for the fire apparatus and for the dump truck in the amount of $375,000. I'm issuing a serial note, which means it's done in 5 separate notes payable over the next 5 years. The interest rate that I've secured for the town is 2.2%, which is just under the 5-year Federal Home Loan Bank rate. So the total issue is $375,000. We're going to amortize that over 5 years at a rate of $75,000 per year in principal payment, together with accrued interest. And the interest for your purpose for each of the notes each year is $1,650. Do you have any questions regarding the issue? This was authorized, by the way, at the annual town meeting on May the 14th of 18.
I read it, I don't have any questions at all.
I like that rate.
Yeah, it's a very good rate.
Yep, it is.
We got a very good rate,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
At East Hampton Savings.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I read it.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make the
You got a
motion.
question or something, Bruce?
Oh.
I thought I saw your hand go up. That's-
Wait for my glasses.
Oh, okay.
I will make a motion to allow Treasurer Stephen Nally to write the notes 450, 451, 452, 453, and 454, totaling $375,000 at 2.2% for the next 5 years.
Sound right?
That sounds fine.
All right. I'll second Jen's motion.
Any more
I got it
discussion? Any more discussion on Mr. Nally's? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3 ayes, Kathy.
Thank you. The documents require signatures on multiple pages.
Yeah.
I'll pass them down as they get, and please forward them to Mrs. Leonard as you complete them. Otherwise, she'll yell at me tomorrow.
We don't want that.
No, her voice is getting raw. She's not gonna be doing much yelling.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't. She's just been working so hard.
She's
Chrissy
not,
does.
she doesn't need to yell, she just looks at you.
It's right here.
Different one. This one shouldn't disappear on us.
Is it a different purple you're using today?
Yes, it's a different purple. The other one was erased already. It erased already. It erased itself.
That's it.
Good. Fine job, Mr. Nally. Fine job.
Thank you. I will have the town clerk certify this in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Your witness, I gave it to her.
I saw nothing.
I trust her. I take it we have nobody here for citizens' participation tonight? go into the department reports. I read them all. I only have one comment
Have you
on
had a chance, Glenn?
Yeah, well, I got through them.
Did you see the ones from today?
No, did I see what's today?
They're right on the top.
The only thing that I was looking, East Hampton got a $300 and something grant. I guess when the firefighters go in and fight the fires, they can get cancer-causing stuff on their suits and stuff they wear.
Sounds legit.
Okay. And if East Hampton can get the cleaning thing for it, it's something we should probably look into to protect our people. I don't know if our people are even cleaning this stuff after coming up. I don't know.
That's a question for the chief.
Right.
They have
but
a
he's not-
They have a
at the
washing machine for
Yeah.
equipment specifically.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Just
didn't know
before
that.
Yep.
But when I saw them, East Hampton getting over $300,000 for a machine to clean all their equipment, I was wondering, do we need one of them?
No, they have a big machine that's made for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so we already have that covered. Because when I see something like that from other departments that we can use in town, I always like taking note of it.
Still trying to thaw out.
Oh, no. You should go skiing, you get used to this weather, it's not cold at all.
I'm a tropics kind of girl.
I don't know when you make your motion or not. I didn't see any reports from the highway department this
There
week.
were none.
Excuse me?
There were none.
Yeah,
I know,
see
I
one.
didn't see it.
Oh. Actually, thinking back on it, I don't think we had highway department last meeting.
They've been flat out, I know, over there with the trees.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying it's an excuse,
But we still need those.
still need it.
There's building going on, rough framing inspection, insulation
like to see.
inspection.
Right.
Let's just hope they're building, like houses, not outbuildings.
But as long as it's a
Canal
structure,
Street.
it's taxable.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we can tax a house bigger than we can over a large shed.
Oh, yeah.
no, these are, no, those are,
Yeah, I've been watching those,
Yeah.
and hoping that we increase, but it also depends on the rate of percentage that the town is under.
well, there's two on Morgan that'll be on next year's tax roll. If
Oh, the
not,
one's right at the,
and it might be a third.
I'll
Are
have
you
to
good,
wait and
Glenn?
s- wait and
Good,
see.
yes.
I'll make a motion
you.
to accept the departmental reports with the exception of the highway departments, which we did not have.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Any more discussion on the department reports? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Kathy. Now let's do maintenance warrants.
Okay. I get to play Chris today.
You can do all the reading.
Yes. All right, so our first one is a payroll warrant, warrant number 42. And our payroll warrant is in the amount of, let me get to the very back, see. That can't be right. What am I missing?
44?
Oh, there it is. It had its own little page. No, we're on 42.
That's all salaries.
Yeah, that's what I said, payroll warrant.
Yeah.
Looks like the total is $398,340.14. And then we have our maintenance warrant, number 43, $77,074.26. And then we have our accounts payable warrant number 44, $405,407.75.
I'll make a motion that we approve and sign maintenance warrants fiscal year 20, numbers 42 and 43 and 44 as read.
Poorly read, but yes, thank you.
I didn't say poorly.
You seconded the motion, right, Glenn?
I will second Glenn's motion.
Okay. Any more discussion on the warrants for this week? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Have a good night, Crystal.
Good night.
Thanks for coming. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
I can read this folder.
Next are the common vics.
Yeah, you can read all those.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's see. Alright, Kathy, I need another paper clip before I get them all mixed up.
Well,
Well, I didn't lose it.
no,
I'm stealing Jay's.
Go ahead, you can, yeah.
and there's two that you can find that I crossed out to waive.
Okay.
for the nonprofit.
Okay. All right, so we have common victualler license number 20-23 that is to certify that Pioneer Valley Chapter 8 of NAFCA, 104 West State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033, to expire December 31st, 2020, unless sooner suspended or revoked for violations of the laws of the Commonwealth. We have common vic license number 20-24 for the Granby Preservation Society, 250 State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033. Requested to waive the fee as in said town of Granby and expiring December 31st, 2020, unless sooner suspended or revoked. License number 20-25 for the Church of Christ Congregational, 235 State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033. Again, request to waive the $25 fee, expiring December 31st, 2020. 20-26 for Sapowski's Farms, 434 East State Street, Granby, Mass. Expiring December 31st, 2020, unless sooner suspended or revoked for violations. In 2027 for Bitter Day Herbals, 181 West State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033. Expiring December 31st, 2020, unless sooner suspended or revoked for violations.
All set, Jen?
I'm good. I'm done.
I'll make a motion that we approve the common vic licenses to include waiving the fee as read.
Any more discussion on the common vic licenses? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 3 ayes, Kathy?
Thank you, sir.
Entertainments. Oh, okay, gotcha. I was like, no, there's three guys.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, we are on entertainment licenses.
You are entertaining?
What?
I said you are entertaining.
I am entertaining? Cool. Kathy, before I read these, it looks like we have the same license number. 20-04 and 20-05. I don't know which one is meant to be. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Well, it hadn't been changed anyways.
Okay. Alrighty, so license number 20-04. This is to certify that Pioneer Valley Chapter 8 Camping Club, 104 West State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033 is hereby granted a license for an entertainment license to provide entertainment to customers as follows. Live entertainment consisting of a DJ or small band inside building for member events only, and live entertainment on the patio behind main building between 12 p.m. and 10 p.m. only, located at 104 West State Street, Granby, Mass. This license is granted in conformity with the statutes and ordinances relating thereto and expires December 31st, 2020, unless sooner suspended or revoked. We have license number 20-05 with a fee waiver. This is to certify that Granby Preservation Society, 250 State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033, is hereby granted a license for an entertainment license to provide entertainment to customers as follows. Live entertainment consisting of a DJ behind main building between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. only, located at 250 State Street, Granby, Mass. for car shows. This license is granted in conformity with the statutes and ordinances relating thereto and expires December 31st, 2020, unless sooner suspended or revoked. License number 20-06 with a fee waiver. This is to certify that the Church of Christ Congregational at 235 State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033 is hereby granted a license for an entertainment license to provide entertainment for various events in the church and on the common located at 235 State Street, Granby, Mass. This license is granted in conformity with the statutes and ordinances relating thereto and expires December 31st, 2020, unless sooner suspended or revoked.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve and sign entertainment licenses for 2020, noting the fee waived as read.
I'll second.
Any more discussion on our entertainment licenses tonight? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Kathy.
You're welcome.
All right, gentlemen,
MSBA.
we have the MSBA.
I don't know, I don't know much about it, I'm not sure if you,
Is this the final disbursement?
yes.
Yes.
You wanna come up and help Steve, that would be good. Because I know they had some questions, I'm not sure. if
Let me take a look at it. Is what's on that front page
Okay,
what we're
so-
signing off on?
Yeah, I think so. This is, as far as I understand, MSBA requested in part of the process to close out a project was for us to disclose the proceeds, how we
Okay.
receive the proceeds. And I was looking at this with Mr. Martin about a week or so ago.
So I'll just read it as is.
Yeah, just, the issue is correct, the cash is correct, and yes, I do believe that is correct.
Okay, I'll read it as is then.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so this is from the Massachusetts School Building Authority to the Granby School District for East Meadow School. Project number 201-201-110010. It's the sources and uses for. So the total project budget was $32,390,430. The total project expenditures was $29,549,253. Source of funds. The MSBA grant amount received to date, $15,817,713. The cash contribution by the district would be $2 million. The general obligation bonds issued by the district would be $13,365,000. And rebates in the form of National Grid Advanced Buildings Incentives Energy Program was $104,279. The undersigned hereby further certifies to the best of his or her knowledge and belief that all of the terms and conditions of the project funding agreement for the East Meadow School project, all other agreements between the Granby Mass District and the MSBA, and all applicable regulations and guidelines of the MSBA have been satisfied. The undersigned further certifies that any construction-related liens have been released. The Granby School District shall maintain the East Meadow School and all elements of the project as delivered to the district in a good, safe, and habitable condition in all respects, except for normal wear and tear, and in full compliance with Mass General Law, Chapter 70B, 963, CMR 2.00, et sec., and all applicable laws, ordinances, covenants, and rules and regulations set forth by any government authority with jurisdiction over matters concerning the condition and the use of this facility. The district hereby acknowledges and agrees that it shall spend at least 50% of the sum of the school district's calculated foundation budget amounts for the purposes of foundation utility and ordinary maintenance expenses and extraordinary maintenance allotment as defined in Mass General Law, Chapter 70, for said purposes. The district has received all warranties, vendor materials, and training as required by the contract documents, and the Granby School District has completed the DCAM evaluations of general contractor, designer, and subcontractors as required and submitted these evaluations to DCAM on the referenced MSBA-funded project. It has been signed off on by Superintendent Cheryl Stanton and School Committee Chair Michael Simpson. So we're just waiting for our chair to sign.
Well, the only question I had, and Steve's probably gonna be the one to answer, when we sign this, will we take ownership of the school, or is that still out of ways?
I think this is only the financial portion.
I think it is too, but I
I'm not
just,
certain if that constitutes the final document, because we haven't received our final requisition from MSBA at this point.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if that is indeed final. I think this is paperwork leading to that end.
okay. Because with everything going on with the East Meadow School now about capacity, I know when the school building committee was in there, it was for 450 students, 430 regular, with 20 for preschool. Right now, there's 413 students, and they're saying there's not enough room. So I don't know if the problem is the way the school's being used, or the architect messed up and didn't make a large enough building when they signed the contract with the town and MSBA? I don't know.
Well, first of all, I don't think any of that information has anything to do with the closeout of the project.
Okay,
And I also believe that the school was designed under MSBA guidelines at the time.
which was supplied data from the school.
That's probably correct, together with state formulas of some sort, I'm sure.
Yes.
To address the question of occupancy at this point, it's probably out of context in this document.
Okay.
Correct, this is the final request and certificate for
I
reimbursement.
mean, if I don't understand something, I ask a question. So that's why I'm asking the question.
So we need
Motion. Yeah,
Motion.
I'll make a motion that I guess we approve the chair of the select board to sign the MSBA project closure request.
I will second Glenn's motion.
Any more discussion on this document? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, there's two.
Yep.
One on the second page.
Because I know if we were with the MSBA, we have more power than without MSBA. That's why they have the full 1 year, 100% warranty on the
That
building.
1 year's over.
But it's not over until everything is closed out. All the paperwork, the invoices, they still review it. Now, physically, they inspected the school, but not all the documents.
But does that warranty carry over?
What I'm told is yes until, because the town hasn't received his final payment yet either.
I have no idea.
I don't either. But just with the school real quick, we had a solar block come into the energy committee last week, and we were kind of amazed what they had to say. With our junior, senior high school, we know we have a problem with fresh air, because they're all blocked off. We know we have a problem controlling the heat, because it's 5 zones, each classroom can't control their own heat in every classroom, whether it's the north, south, east, or west. We also know we have two 60-year-old number 2 fuel oil tanks in the ground. That one of them was of a Lincoln, would cost us a lot of money. And on the capital improvement committee, which was due to meet tomorrow night, but I understand it's been canceled. Do you know a new date for that yet?
I don't believe so.
Okay, but they had stuff on their capital improvement, which we had for new boilers and stuff like that. The bottom line was solar block, and I didn't bring a cable to project it, so I'll do it at the energy if they want to see it. I'll give this one to you and this one to you to look at if you want. Basically, solar block is a vertical solar. And what it does, it works no different than the roof solar, except with this one, you can put 2-inch styrofoam between the solar block panels and the existing building. That 2-inch solar foam is going to have an R16 factor, which would give some insulation to that building, which doesn't have. In addition to that, because these are generating electricity, it would, and if you look on page 10 and 11, I believe it shows you up to 19,000 kilowatts just on the south wall it can generate. We could actually use a mini split on a classroom powered by these solar panels and give each room not only fresh air, but now we can give each room individual controlled temperature for not only heat, but air conditioning as well. And that's something that building doesn't have.
Right.
And the only reason I'm bringing it now was the capital improvement committee has some stuff on their agenda. And we just got the information last week. You can see they've already taken pictures of the junior, senior high school and their proposed savings.
Was this something we requested them to do? Or
The energy
the
committee,
Energy committee did?
yeah.
I wasn't sure.
If it reaches to a period that we think the select board should know about it, then we send it up. Otherwise, we throw it in the garbage or the circular file, or whatever you want to call it.
I think it's a cool idea. Definitely looks nice.
Yeah. But all it is,
It's definitely something.
it's something
that
to
needs
look
be
at
looked
that will solve the problems of fresh air in the school, because it doesn't have fresh air.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a big thing.
Right. It'll give insulation, which it doesn't have. It'll give it not only heat, but air conditioning, which it doesn't
It's
have.
huge.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it generates the power to run those devices.
So it looks like this won't even enter the commercial market till after spring.
That's correct.
Okay.
This is all brand new, and they're not planning to kick it off until this spring. And if you want to know, the company that patented this is located in East Hampton, Mass. The company that's making these blocks are located in Chicopee, Mass. And the connectors for electrical work is being done in Pittsfield and North Adams, Mass. So it's all locally manufactured stuff, because we're always looking for stuff like this. And we thought this might be a way to help resolve some of the issues with the junior, senior high school. And if it powers itself, it's saving us money.
Has there been any information regarding costs of it?
We're still
I know
waiting
it's
on
still-
that, but you will see there's two prototypes. I believe one town is the Lexington School.
I saw that, and they actually had Lexington students.
Yes, what they did in
trained to
Lexington,
install.
like we have Pathfinder, well, they created a program to have the tech students do the work.
Yeah.
So it's a double gain
Yeah.
that we could do for
They
our
learn
Granby
a
students.
trade and-
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we thought we'd just bring it to your attention because everything for capital improvement goes through us for all the articles. But when we get some more detail, and you can see in the last 2 pages, particularly on page 10, is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Glenn doesn't have that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know what the orientation is of the school building,
So
so
it'll be
I
that whole
don't know.
building side right there?
Yeah.
North, south.
Now, we know that's the School of Windows.
Thank you.
It's the School of Windows. What they said they could do is we could decide how many windows we wanted to keep. And,
Go what?
no, what they would do is they take cinder blocks and replace them with the windows we don't want to get. We want to remove.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go up and they bolt them right to the existing brick or the new brick. They don't care.
But we want natural light in our classrooms.
Right, but we can decide if we want to leave all the windows as is, that's up to us. If we want to shrink the amount of windows because there's too much windows, we can do that too. Those are all options given to us.
I definitely think it's something that we should look into for not only the school, but other town buildings.
Actually, the junior, senior high school is the only one that's really orientated correctly to the south and the west, the wall. And it's not precluding of trees and stuff like that. We did think of West Street School, but when we looked at it, man, they said there was too many trees that be taken down to get all the sunlight. So this is gonna go 2 feet off the ground to a foot below the roof.
Okay.
And it's gonna be bolted in there, and that's it. It's non-structural. It supports itself. And it just-
Okay.
So that's why it is what it is.
It'll be interesting to see how the government tests pan out.
Right. And if we hop onto it, if we decide to, they have what's called a net zero program, which we could be funded. Net zero is defined of replacing fossil fuel energy with renewable energy, which we'd be doing. We get rid of the number 2 fuel oil. And then they have another program for the state called passive energy. That's the actual reduction of the energy use.
Right.
We could qualify for both of them. But again, it depends who puts the paperwork in first. And that's what it comes down to. So this is something we're looking at for FY 2022. Because, and we would be wasting money, unless we had to do a repair, of course, of replacing stuff that we propose we are not gonna be using in the future. Like an example is the West Street School roof. It's sitting there with a roof, but we got, what, approximately 6 more years to pay on it, Steve?
I'm sorry.
The West Street School roof, you got, what, 6 more years to pay on it?
I think it's more than that. I think it's closer to 8 or 9.
8 or 9 years to pay on a building roof that we're not using.
That
So
hurts.
I just want to be proactive with this and say, if we're going to go down this road, let's not spend a whole much money on stuff that we're going to throw away. That's all I'm saying. And that tank in West Street School's got to come out of the ground too. Because that was the 1940 vintage, and they take that out. If it's leaking, we got a big EPA bill.
Just shush, don't even think that way.
I'll always plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Definitely interesting.
It's
Yeah.
really
It's very
interesting.
interesting.
Can it be done on houses too?
Yes,
I didn't see houses in there. I
it
saw
can be
commercial
done in
and things like
houses,
that.
but it's
It's the
majorly being
orientation.
marketed right now for the sides of canopies with the solar on top, that you
Mm-hmm.
can just tap in and add it. In addition to that, like all the buildings in Boston, they don't have any roofs. They're so close together.
Right.
So they have a lot of, all the south-facing buildings could be marketed. And since they're located in East Hampton and Chicopee, I gave them a call and invited them out to, I said I did some reading on it. And they came out, the co-founder and the head person there.
It's a really cool idea.
Yep. And you can see 19,000 kilowatts. That'll put a dent into the electric bill.
Yeah.
Particularly if we use them to run the mini splits, which will give the school not only heat, but air conditioning, which it doesn't have. And like I said, between the two of the solar block and the existing wall is 2 inches of styrofoam we can put in, R16 insulation, which that school doesn't have.
Something
And
to look
nobody
into.
else has been contacted this company about this yet. So we could be in, upfront, if we get state approval on this, to be a prototype building, which would cost us even less. Because this company would come in almost at cost and do it, because they want to prove it out to everybody else. Now, if you guys want a copy of that, I'll email it to you. It's up to you.
Can you email it to Kathy?
You want to put it on the website? Or leave it off?
I mean, I wouldn't put it on the website now, because it's nothing where,
Right, it's nothing that we're gonna do.
No,
it's
email
very,
it to
I
Kathy
mean,
and she'll
it's
email
very
it.
interesting.
very interesting,
Yeah,
Yeah, you can send it to me.
yeah.
okay.
Whatever, yeah.
I will send it to you. I'll make my note. Send to Kathy.
And the next up is the letter to the Conservation Commission. Just wanted to know if you want him to draft up the letter. They've only done 2 of the,
Gravel is?
gravel permits, and they were due in July.
Yeah, we should draft a letter up, tell them they were due in July,
Yes.
and we need to get them
They
done.
get them done.
Yeah, that's a little,
Mhm.
late.
Well, it was about this time last year too, so really, they should have been able to do them
Yeah.
in July, because they were so late last year. All right, then the old business then, is the,
You mean trash?
Trash contract?
trash and recycling.
Mhm.
It's a trash contract.
Trash contract.
Trash,
And
that's the
recycling.
disposal
Yeah,
one.
recycle, yeah.
That needs to be signed. He did talk to, because you're not gonna go, he priced out 2 of them, and who we go with right now, out of Holyoke was, is much more expensive, and he proposes that we go to this one.
Which is less.
Community.
It's less.
We all like
They're all
less.
going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the disposal price, you know, this is for the actual trash.
Correct.
Mhm.
And what gets me, if I'm remembering correctly, because it was $95 to dispose of dual stream recyclables, right?
That's,
Yeah.
that's,
It's cheaper to get rid of it as trash than in recyclables.
it is, but I don't think we want to encourage
I think
Yeah.
we
that.
wanna go down that road.
No, but I'm just saying, looking at money-wise, $145 a ton, single stream, versus trash it out at $80 a ton. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they've always said it's not cheap to recycle.
That's right.
But
But
it's more expensive to not
It costs money to do it.
in the
it
long
costs
run.
money to recycle, but if we get into a pinch for money-wise, that's something that we may have to consider.
Actually, the town of Ludlow called today, because they're going through this same thing right now. And they're gonna try to meet with Chris next week, because they're gonna be doing the same thing. They're switching to the,
Yeah.
dual stream,
Right.
and wanted to see how we're doing it. and maybe vice versa, we can, throw ideas around to make it, work,
Right,
see
yeah.
what works.
Maybe we can talk to Ludlow about some other things when they come over, because they have a full yard there of a transfer station and everything else. Maybe we could work something. Now, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
I think they're looking at going to, pay as you throw for everything, even with the recycling, you have to have it in a bag.
So you'd be buying bags, yeah.
Mhm.
Actually,
Have you
that
guys
might be, yeah, I got it right here in front of me. That's why I knew what the prices were. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Because right now, since Waste Management took over from Allied, our tonnage is skyrocketed. And if you drive around town, there's snow coning, there's multiple barrels, so the people are exceeding their 35-gallon limit in a lot of the areas, if you drive around. And I'm not, I happen to pick it up at Christmas time, but I know at Christmas time we have a lot more with the presents to get rid of. But if you drive around now, you will
That's
see.
if you know what's inside the barrels. Some of the barrels could have cardboard, recyclables. I mean, I put
Yeah,
two
some
barrels
of them
out,
could be
one's
mostly
recyclable, you wouldn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the ones I looked at had trash because there was snow coning out of them all. So that's why I know there was more than one 35-gallon container with trash, if they're both snow coning with trash out of them.
Well, they also could have been, it could have been, Waste Management picking a private one.
No, private, you get the green. They come in with the guy, picks up the machine, he puts it in. Our contract is no machine, manual labor.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can just, if that's something we're seeing, then it's a letter to
Usually
them
Waste
that,
Management tags it.
Yeah.
No, Waste Management hasn't been taking anything Allied did. Waste Management
Waste
hasn't.
Management hasn't been tagged?
I got tagged from them,
Waste Management?
yeah,
Well, you're the only one that I heard of.
yeah.
Well, I know a couple
They
of
said the
people
bag
that
was
have
too
been
heavy.
tagged. Yeah.
Hmm.
I got yelled at for cat
Yeah.
litter.
Yeah, bag was too
Yeah.
heavy.
I heard about cat litter.
I mean, I brought it out there, I don't know why it's too heavy.
I don't know what the weight limit is per bag, but there was a lot of
40
bags.
pounds.
40 pounds.
40
Yeah,
pounds.
but there was a lot of bags put out there too that were white, so I know they weren't our blue bags that you're getting paid for.
Yeah, but I think they're allowed 15, I mean, maybe they only weighed, 15 pounds
Right, you could,
each. Yeah.
you could see 6 white bags out there and they may not weigh much, you know, it depends what's in them.
Right.
In addition to the barrels,
Yeah,
Well,
but
not
how
in
do you know
addition to the barrels.
Wasn't recycling, just recycling.
again, I could see the top of it snow coating, so I know it was all.
Well, like I said, if that's something we see, then,
Yeah.
you know, they're picking it up and then that's something we address with them.
Yeah, because,
Right,
That's
the
all.
Waste Management
Right.
address.
right, for the simple reason is why should the people doing it right pay for the people that's doing it not right, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
No?
Okay, we gotta do a motion on this one?
Alrighty. I will make a motion to allow Jay to sign the Community Eco Power contract for disposal services agreement effective July 1st, 2020 for a term of 5 years ending June 30th, 2025.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, for the trash contract,
The disposal.
any more questions on disposal of the trash? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
So this is locked in for 5 years, just like the pickup.
Mhm.
You want me to print my name, Kathy, or leave it blank like the last time? It's up to you.
Oh, you can do whatever you wish.
Okay, well, since you're here by yourself this week, I'm gonna print my name, so you don't gotta
Thank
do
you.
it.
One last thing she's gotta do.
That's right. Today is the 21st.
Should have had more coffee.
It's not freezing.
I am, I'm warming up, it's nice. But it's now putting me to sleep. It's so quiet in here.
But if you hear anything about the capital improvement, let me know, just in case, so we can get that stuff in there, because I don't wanna spend money, and I don't think the people wanna spend money, we come up with something.
All right, the next one is a single stream and a dual stream. Chris spoke with Steve Ellis, and he suggested doing both,
So we
because so that we'll be all set in case they decide that.
Switch.
They switch.
I think eventually
And
gonna
when I-
switch over.
Yeah, when Ludlow called, he said the same thing.
Yep.
It's just we're not good. Ellis had told them the same thing,
Yeah.
so.
Right, because I think the going theory is we're going to start out with a single and switch to the dual.
They're eventually gonna switch
But there
over.
might not even
But
be a
there
choice.
might not be a choice.
There won't be a choice,
And they
either.
were thinking the same thing of following, again, talking to Steve Ellis, of following in our footsteps of trying it early April, before it
It's
actually.
required.
It would cut down any fines that we're gonna get by using it as a training period.
Because the program will begin July 1st,
That's correct.
2020.
Right.
Okay. And it's a period of 3 years, terminating June 30th, 2023. All right, well, I will make a motion that we sign both the single stream designated community and the dual stream designated community contracts between the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, the contractor, and us.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Any more discussion on this single stream / dual stream recyclable contract?
Oh, thank you for adding that, because I don't believe I said recycle.
Okay, well, hearing nothing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Ken. We work together, Jim. We help them. Like I say, I learned some new stuff about the police department tonight that I didn't know about. That's why I had questions.
I'm like, yeah, we're the designated community. Wow. There's the top that belongs to that one.
Okay. Now, we get our titles underneath this?
I'll write them all in when we're done,
Okay,
if you want.
that way they all can be in person.
Color of royalty.
Yeah, I hear that the Prince of England there, whatever you call him.
Yeah, I'll follow that. We
Moving-
fought a war with them for a reason.
Moving to Vancouver, Canada.
I don't think that was the reason.
What?
I don't think that was the reason.
Because the prince was moving to Vancouver? No, that was not
Yes.
the reason. Oh, and I have all the paper clips down here, Glenn. I stole them.
I know, you put one back on there.
No, because I need two, one for each
Oh,
contract.
okay. Thought you meant when you stole them.
You're gonna go all on that one, sorry.
Oh, here, see, I get mixed up on her.
That's okay.
Where's the other one?
Thank you.
After here's your single stream.
And they're not dated either. Thank you.
You said that down to Kathy, so I don't take it home with me.
What is this one?
That's for Alex.
So if you want me to
Alex.
sign, yes.
That's
You
that.
have a sponsor, Alex.
And you autographed it?
Yep.
All right, it's been sponsored.
Do well, I'll pull my sponsorship.
Can I just tell you, this is really like impeaching on my impeachment proceedings?
One of the things that Chris did have as an action item was to, talk about contact Mr. Yee about the, non-participating agreement number 110520 for the resurfacing and related work along section Route 202, which he did finally get a
Yeah.
hold of him. I think everybody saw, and we did send it out.
Yeah.
Because, again, we're not responsible if we
Right.
decide that.
And the bottom line is, it's not costing us anything to wait and get an actual price.
Right.
And with that, he also contacted, Ty and Bond
Yep.
to find out, and, here is the, report back.
Yeah, I already have electronic copy.
I have the electronic too, but I'd like to have the hard copy.
Not me.
So I can look at it now. Well, I don't bring my laptop.
That's what I do.
So again, I honestly, don't know anything else on that one.
The
right
only
now.
thing I think we should do now
Mhm.
is the town has met all its obligations, both with Mass DOT and South Hadley. I think we should draft a letter for our next meeting to the Water Commission of South Hadley and say, hey, we've met everything. Now give us a letter in writing that we're gonna get it. And I know Glenn would love to see it, something in writing that we're gonna get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want,
Draft a letter to the South Hadley Water Commission, Fire District 1, say, we've met all the requirements. It's in black and white, it's in your hands. The only thing that could come up was they create a new requirement. Am I right or wrong, Steve? Yeah.
okay.
And then let's put it in there, the Water Commission's here, not Jeff Sears, and say, hey, we did our job, we paid what you wanted us to pay, give us the letter that we're good to go.
Of course, the memo went out concerning the Emily and the Energy Committee and whatnot, but we haven't heard anything back from either. The economic, that's the one thing, the memo that sends a representative.
I don't remember that, which one are we talking?
That's when you gave us all the emails.
Oh,
You want a representative from each board?
Right, yeah, from the board, from both. So that's the 202 quarter that they're looking.
a letter from the representatives?
No, they want you, we're supposed to get a rep name of somebody who's gonna talk.
Oh, yeah, there was, and that's what Chris got a copy of, I had to send him all the email addresses. And the people on the committee were supposed to decide who was gonna be the representative.
Yes.
Okay, we have not had an economic development committee meeting until 4 February.
Okay. Well, the planning board met last Monday, and there was actually only 3 board members there. The person that we were hoping that they would be able to do it was not there, so we're waiting for that person to be at the meeting to discuss it further.
And we can't possibly discuss it until 4 February unless we call a special meeting.
Right, yep.
Also, on action list was for Chris to send a letter, back to, AJ's concerning, has left out, which he did. And he also, on part of that was also to, send a letter to, the building inspector, which he also did. And, the building inspector has been on, vacation, he left just before, so.
Okay.
Okay, so this is like.
Mhm.
Kathy, do you know if we've gotten any more information on the PVTA?
No, but, again, Chris, an action item, Chris
Yes.
sent a letter.
Okay.
Is there a reason we didn't get this in the reading material?
Probably because, I didn't send it to you. That's
What?
what the reason.
That's why I was just wondering, because you know me, I like to read everything ahead of time. Yeah, I remember this now.
So they're clearly not gonna make the January 21st meeting.
No. I don't, we haven't heard anything back. He sent it out, but,
Well, if they don't hear, I'm not paying. I think that's fair.
and the memo went out to the planning board again, and conservation, concerning the planner, town planner and a conservation agent, and the, conservation met, and they only had one thing to change on the planning board. There was, again, it wasn't a quorum, so they were just waiting.
Well, they had a quorum. they
Well, the
said.
quorum, but we had 2 of the members, so we wanted to wait to get the
That'll
full.
go the next one, I'm sure.
Yeah, one of the full board was there.
So the only thing that, he had left was the DLTA grant application, which he was working on, and then he got sick, so he wasn't.
Were you able to get a hold of anybody today in regards to it?
No.
No.
So, but I'm going to relook tomorrow, and then if I can't, they said he would also try to help.
That's
So
Cadmus, CADMUS.
I will
Is
look for
who-
that.
They have the contract to do it for the safety complex. And it's a meta grant from Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources.
So, yeah, I'm in the middle of payroll, which has to be done.
Yep.
So tomorrow I'll be able to.
Payroll first.
Yeah,
Yes,
and maybe
payroll
paid.
first.
And this project, including a report, has to be done by 30 April of 2020 to meet Boston's requirement.
Another just note was from the, International Brotherhood of the, Police Officers, saying that they are ready to, begin the bargaining.
After
So-
budget.
So, okay, I'm just
Okay.
letting you know.
We got way too much with the budget, and the school hasn't even come in close yet.
When's their contract up, Kathy?
30 June of 20.
20, yeah.
But if we don't make an agreement, then it just continues as is until we make an agreement, just like the fire department. Theirs was up 30 June
Yeah.
of 19, and we just really haven't even completed that yet, because we need a session to do it with. Because Chris is not here, we can't.
Right,
Right, we got the fire chief, I mean, the police chief, the police lieutenant.
Yep, yep.
and the
so the, I believe, what, it's February
third.
I'm sorry, what did
No,
I miss on
third.
the next meeting?
third next meeting, budget meetings before.
We can do it before, like, as we scheduled this
And
one.
again, Chris had it down for 5 because of the added executive
Yeah.
session,
Yep.
depending you would want to.
Well, we're gonna do the executive session after, we're gonna do the budgets, regular meeting, and then executives, no.
No, he's gonna do the budgets, and within that one was also executive session,
Executive.
just like this time.
Yep,
And
Okay.
then the regular.
the
meeting.
regular meeting.
Okay, let me just change the time on the third to 5 o'clock.
Correct.
Contracts.
And I don't know if anybody else has anything they wanna bring up.
Do you want to do some correspondence?
It's up to you.
Jay?
On correspondence, I didn't have any questions on correspondence this week.
Okay.
I read it all, I just didn't have any comments.
You send these back down to Kathy?
Sure.
And then I also gave each of you a, PowerPoint presentation that's on the,
Bylaw
website
review, yeah.
concerning the bylaws, which you all have on
Right.
Tuesday.
Yes.
And we already discussed the EV charges and the bylaw, they can't be done because they gotta go through the process. But we'll do a memo to, if the state comes after us again, we can say, hey, we're in the process.
Right, yeah. So that's Tuesday, and on Monday is the, meeting with the ZBA concerning the, GRANBY.
Fall number,
Yeah, that was
27th.
part one.
Yeah, and you guys are in a butter, of course, but.
Now, on the 28th, we're required to be here for the bylaws.
Yeah, 'cause
Yes.
it's-
I just wanna make sure,
it's the bylaw review committee.
but we're not required to be here for the ZBA.
No. Just letting you know that it was happening.
I'm just organizing the calendar so I know who's on first and what's on second.
Yep.
And you know that we have a resignation for the Council on Aging
Yeah.
Advisory? Okay.
Gentleman that's been there a while, and just doesn't wanna drive no more. That's Kathy's?
Mhm.
Blame him.
I believe it's Kathy's. It was here when I got here.
It's
It's Chris's.
Kathy's. Oh, it's Chris's.
Oh,
Did you see about early voting?
I don't remember seeing that one. Where'd that one come from? You said?
It was in the correspondence folder.
Though that is something Kathy also wants to use it, in, November, but by then we will probably have offices in there,
Downstairs.
so,
Okay.
I did talk to, Jen, Crosby, and, to see if the community room, which might be good because some people never have been to the library. Might be, so I still haven't talked to Kathy, but if you guys thought that was a good idea,
Yeah,
we would.
It's got plenty of parking.
Yeah, plenty of parking,
Yeah.
flat.
and even if
And it
they,
wouldn't bother the offices plus other committees
yeah,
who have.
but we
Yeah.
need to reserve that room way in advance.
I know, I talked to Jen and today,
Okay,
so, then I'm gonna talk to Kathy tomorrow,
okay.
if it was okay with you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea,
Yeah.
particularly on Monday,
Yeah.
because they'll use the outside door. We'll probably have to have Jeremy open it and let Kathy in.
Or the police, they have,
You can
Yeah.
buzz and they can
Yeah.
unlock it remotely.
Yeah.
but again, it wouldn't be in the way of any
Yeah,
other
it makes sense.
committee.
But it's interesting that the police can unlock it when it's alarmed,
Mhm.
but after we finish our meetings there, which is generally after the library closes,
Mhm.
I go to the police station and tell them that we're out, it's locked up,
Mhm.
but they can't alarm it. They can't arm the alarm. They have to call Jen Crosby at home, or it doesn't get, till they send extra police cars by.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that, because I try Jen at home with my cell phone, we're leaving, and by that time, she's usually in bed.
Or I wonder if it's just not armed if they know someone's going to be going in, and that's how they can just unlock it
Yeah.
remotely.
Anything else?
No, I haven't seen this yet. I think it's a good idea to do it in the new library. Oh, one thing you might wanna know, today, we just got an email from Mass DOR. The green community requirements have changed. There's two major changes in there. The maximum now is 200,000. It is no longer 250,000. And the biggest change is if a town has already received 750,000, and they're now limited to 100,000. It's the case of the state having not enlarged the amount of money they put in the pie, if you wanna call it, and we've gotten more green community, so everybody's slice is getting smaller. So this is their way of lowering the maximum from 250 to 200. And I don't think they're gonna allow administrative anymore. So that's something that we're gonna have to look at, because in the years past, we've been able to save 10% for administrative costs. I don't think they're gonna allow that, but again, the RFR is not out yet. It's supposed to be out by tomorrow, next day. I got an advance from Mark. But again, the communities, the green communities that have already received 750,000 or more can no longer receive more than 100,000 a year. And we've only received $248,748, if I remember correctly.
Anything else?
No, that's all I can think of with the new.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Any more discussion on adjourning? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're done.